Hi friends, it's Deanna here today, and today we're going to be sewing up the slow cooker carrier. I'm actually really excited about this pattern because it's such a cool thing to have on these times right now when, there's games going on and everything is going on and you want to take a slow cooker to a friend's house to watch the game together or something like that. This is great. You can wrap it up and take it with you even if it's hot. Now, I am making this one for my mother-in-law. She loves slow cookers and she loves taking them with her everywhere she goes. So this is just a perfect gift for her. The holidays coming up. Here's some gift ideas. All right, so let's get started. First, you want to make sure that you measure your slow cooker correctly because they all come in different sizes. And once you've decided what size you're going to do, then you can go ahead and cut your pattern out. We're going to have our bottom piece outer and our bottom piece liner, and we're also going to have some of this heat safe interfacing. That's what's going to help a lot when you're carrying that slow cooker if it's hot. We also have the side panel, and I cut this out of my main fabric, and we're going to quilt it first, and then we're going to cut it the size that it needs to be into the side. Then we have the side lining panel. Now with the lining fabric, I cut out the bottom lining and then the side lining, but I also cut out my casing with the lining because I want it to be a contrasting color. I wanted this bright flower pink to be the main centerpiece, but the top that kind of wraps around the crock pot, that's going to be with my lining color because I want it to be contrasting. All right, let's jump right into it. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our pieces and we're going to mark them so that we can go ahead and quilt them. And make sure that when you cut out your pieces, you marked your points. So here's my 2 points. All my points have been marked. I did like little clip outs of my points. You can do a marker, a water soluble marker. You can put a pin there. You can put a clip there, however you want to do that. And for the bottom part, we're just gonna do like straight lines. We're gonna do like squares. So since I'm doing squares, I'm gonna go and create like a quarter, like half it down the middle, and then we're gonna do it on the sides. And I'm using like I said, a water. No, this is not a water soluble. This is a heat friction pen. So the heat will get it off. So once you do that first line, you want to continue on the lines 2.5 inches away from each other. So I'm going to start from the center and go all the way out 2.5 inches one side, 2.5 inches the other way, and then turn, and then 2.5 inches that way, 2.5 inches divided. So let's do that. Now that I marked all those, I'm just going to place it right on top of my heat safe interfacing. And then I'm just gonna pin between all the little squares. All right, now we're gonna add the lines to this one right here, and we're doing diagonal lines, and we're gonna do as well 2.5 as well. Now we're gonna turn and go the other way. All right, now you've got these beautiful diamond shapes here, and we've got our diamond bright interfacing here, and we're gonna place that right on top. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're gonna put pins all the way around it, or if you have a spray, you can spray it together, adhesive spray, but I'm gonna go ahead and quilt these all the way on my machine. So I'm just gonna be following those lines and quilting this together. Let's go quilt. All right, friends, so I have finished quilting on my main piece, and then I went over with my projector and cut out that shape, that other shape that we have to cut out after we quilt. It's much easier to quilt before we cut the shape out, because if not, then you're gonna have like these little spots here, so it's kind of harder. So that's why you quilt it before you cut this out here. But now that that's cut, I'm gonna fold it right sides together, and I'm going to sew this edge here, the short raw edge, with my sewing machine. I'm also going to grab my lining piece and do the same thing. Fold it and sew this short raw edge here. It's been a while, I think, since you've seen Bo, but he's still with me, helping me sew and do all the things. And he decides every time that I'm gonna sew, he decides to move right where I'm going. So right now I am sewing in this area, because there is my sewing machine, and he decides to be right underneath my sewing area where my feet are gonna go. Bo, excuse me, Bo, can you please let me sew? His tail is wagging. His tail wagging back there. Excuse me. Excuse me. Thank you, buddy. All right, let's go sew that up. All right, so once we're done with that, we're going to open up this. Actually, we're gonna trim the seam allowance to 1/4 inch, and we'll open it up. Just kind of open up that seam allowance. You can go give it like a little steam there. We find our marks. We turn this right side out. I turn my bag right side out, and I have my marks here. So my side panels where my handles are, that's not where you put in your straps. You put in your straps in the front and in the back. And so what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab my strap, make sure that you have heat sealed it or zigzag stitched it or something, so it's not gonna fray on you. And then we're going to go ahead and attach it by top stitching on both sides. So top stitching this side and this side, but we want to leave an inch gap here at the top where you do not top stitch. So I'm going to measure my inch from the top, and I'm going to put a pin right there, and that's where I'm going to stop. And I'm going to do the same on the other side and the same on the back side with my other strap. All right, we're gonna repeat that for all 4 sides. Well, all 4 strap things. All right, so now that that's finished, I'm gonna turn it inside out again, because I wanna go ahead and mark 1/4 of this piece here. So we're gonna start here where the seam is, and make sure you open that allowance when you're sewing this. So we're gonna mark, so that's the 1/4, then that's the half, and then we're gonna go to the sides, and we're gonna mark that for the bottom of our crock pot holder as the bottom, and we're gonna mark that for the bottom as well. Well, I already have the marks here, 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 and actually here, but it's right there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna match up this oval to the same shape, and we're gonna match them up like this, right sides together. And we're gonna go, first we'll baste it together, and then once it's all basted together and it all looks good and everything, then you can go ahead and sew around it. You can clip or staple if you have like thicker fabric, but make sure if you're stapling, you staple inside the seam allowance. Honestly, what's really cute about this pattern, there might be a hack that I will have to do, is if you look at this and you put the lining, it could just be like a big bag. Like, look at the inside, how cute that looks. And if you wouldn't have to do these lips here, you would just do it straight, and you would do the lining straight and then sew it. Like, so that, my gosh, the thoughts. You all know how I am. I always think of all the different ways that we can use our pattern, but that would be amazing, right? Oh, one thing I forgot is I wanted to add a little tag to the side of my one thing I forgot is I wanted to add a tag to one of my little sides, and I should have done that before I did this part here. I want to put it like, I wanted to wait until I put the straps on there so I would know exactly where I want it. I want it in the front, so I want it somewhere like, do I want it right in the center, right here, stitch with love, or do I want it like at the top, like right here? Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it like right here. So I'm gonna find that half. I got this tag from Boho Fabrics. It is so cute. And so I'm gonna put it kind of below because we're gonna have seam allowance here. So I think right here will be great. And I'm just gonna go around the whole thing and top stitch it on, just top stitch. I could just do the two sides. Maybe I'll just do the two sides. How cute is that gonna be right there? Yes, okay. So then we're gonna base this on, and then once it's nice and you can look at it, make sure you got everything, then you can go ahead and sew it. And then with our lining, so I went ahead and put the interfacing on my lining, so make sure you have that. And then we're gonna grab it and do the same thing that we're doing with our main, where we have our quarters. And we're going to insert and attach the right sides together. All right, let's go sew all the way around. Alrighty, so now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and trim the seam allowance to 1/4 inch, but do not cut your webbing. All right, so we're gonna flip our lining right side out, and we're gonna fit it right into, no, we're gonna, yeah. And we're gonna fit it right into our outer. So the right sides are touching. Yeah, I was like, no, yeah, no, yeah. I'm right. Okay, and then we're gonna match up those side seams here. Kind of moving that around so I can make sure that they're nice and even and straight. Okay, and we're gonna sew down, turn, sew over, turn, sew up. Pick up your foot, pivot, leave your needle down, and then go the other way. Alrighty, so now we're gonna trim this seam allowance right here to 1/4 inch seam allowance. And at the corners right here, we're gonna trim all the way up to like the thread, but don't cut the thread. We're just kind of clipping in both sides. And then we're going to turn it right side out. If for some reason yours is kind of puckering here, that means that you need to go in a little bit more when you trim on that trimming. Oh my gosh, I actually love the contrast of that green in there. It looks so good. Then we're going to go over and top stitch down and around the whole thing. Again, this is where I think it looks like a bag. And if you didn't have the sides cut out and you were to top stitch this inside out, I have to do a hack for it because I think this would be such a cute, like big bag where you can put like trays, like, you know, I don't know, food trays and stuff, like pile them up and then just so cute. I went ahead and steamed it so that my fabric is not sticking out as I'm trying to top stitch it. This is looking so adorable. I don't know if I should take it all back and keep it instead of doing it to my mother-in-law. but I can make myself another one. So it's gonna be okay. It's just really, really cute though. All right, then we're gonna grab the casing and we're gonna fold it right sides together at the short raw edge. And we're going to start at the top and sew down. And then right here where that crease is, we're gonna make a 1.5 inch gap that we're gonna leave there. And it's gonna be 3/4 inch from each side of the line, the center line. So kind of inch right here. And a pin right here. So we go down and then back stitch here and then back stitch here and go all the way down, leaving that gap. All right, so that has been top stitched and it's looking beautiful. I'm gonna put this aside for a minute. And then for our casing, we're gonna steam open that seam allowance, which I just did, and here is your gap right here, and we're gonna refold over that fold we created earlier. So wrong sides together. Okay. And this casing is gonna be what's gonna be at the top. So you want it to look nice. And the reason I'm saying this is because I am going to, now I have this gap here at the top, and I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna top stitch this. Hold on one second. Okay, so this is the top of your casing here, and you want this to look nice because this is gonna be the top where your slow cooker, that we're gonna put in a strap through here, and it's gonna close cinch in to keep your slow cooker in there. So you want this top part to look nicely. And the reason why I'm saying that is because now we're going to top stitch all the way around with a 5/8 seam allowance all the way around. So I'm gonna change my thread to a coordinating thread instead of just using my white, is what I'm trying to tell you that. All right, so after we stitch up that whole top line, creating that casing, we're going to flip it out, just open it up. This is the wrong side. And one of the sides we're going to fold over and create a hem allowance. So just a folded crease here. And it's gonna be 3/8 seam allowance. Once we created that folded hem allowance here, we're gonna flip it, but we're gonna make sure, so this is where our ties, this is where it's gonna tie. So if you want it to tie at the front, you kind of want to match it up with the front, but if you want it in the back, you kind of want to match it up on the back. I don't think it really matters because it's just going to be closing up here at the top anyway, but I'm just going to match it up with the back. So I want that seam on the back half. And you want to mark your halves, and actually I didn't mark my halves yet, so let me go ahead and mark my halves. So I have this one here, so I know that one's the front. And then this one here, I know that one's the front as well. So I guess I did have it marked. And you want to mark the halves of your allowance of your casing, which I have the marks here anyway, because I can see where I marked it already. So we're going to match up. Here's the front. So right sides together. So the right side of the right side. Oop, make sure that strap goes inside. I do not want to sew over that strap. We want to put that strap to the outside. Just leave it out of the way. Okay, so my half point here. Just needs to move a little bit because this is my half point. Okay, and then in the back, this is my half point here. Okay, again, that strap needs to be tucked in. Tuck that strap in. And you're going to sew up both lining, outer, and casing. When you get here to the sides, we're actually going to spread these sides open a little bit, so it's actually 5 inches here in between the sides. So measured 5 inches, kind of looks like a trapezoid. And then go over. See how it kind of, see if you can see it. It's kind of hard to see on the inside, but it kind of opens it up a little bit. So it's like, it's not straight, it's kind of opened up a little bit. And do the same on the other side. And this is the reason why you didn't want to sew those straps all the way up. You left that allowance there, because if you would have sewn them all the way up, right now is where you would be having trouble with that. All right, now let's go sew that whole top together. All right, I'm almost done. All right, let's turn it up and make sure that it's all nice and it caught everywhere and everything looks good. And then we're gonna trim that allowance to 1/4 inch, except for the sides. You don't have to trim those, it's just for bulk. And then I'm going to, actually, well, let me remove all these threads. They're going everywhere. All right, so now let's flip this inside out, or whole thing. That way, this part is easier. We're gonna pull out that casing. And what we're going to do now is grab where we already hemmed here. Actually, let's mark our quarters and half and everything, so that way we have those marked. So from the back seam or front seam, whatever you want to call it, and mark it, and then the 2 sides. Okay, because what we're going to do is we're going to attach over this allowance here. So I also want to make sure I have my sides here, so I can have my marks, so I know exactly where I'm going. And I think there's a seam in the front, so that's good. All right, so then we're gonna fold this to on top of that. See this allowance here, that raw edge? You don't want that, right? So we're gonna fold this over that raw edge and top stitch it on. So we're gonna pin it to the bag. So this is what the inside, this is the lining, the inside, and then on the outside, it's pinned right here to the bag. Pin it all the way around. Like right here where this center area is, I mean the sides areas where you sewed up, but you didn't really, it just gives you, here's a seam here. You still want that folded up, and pin that there. See right there? Then I like to do my 1/4 points first. All right, so then now you want to check from the right side that you've got it all nice and pinned nicely. See, like this is not pinned nicely right here. So you want to fix that. And what you want to do is, if you want to, you can move these pins to the front, or you can go ahead and top stitch this side first from this side as a basting stitch, long basting stitch, and then do it from the right side. And following that long basting stitch. It really is up to you. Or you can go ahead and go straight from the right side right now and sew it right along the edge. So it's just up to you however you want to do that, but just make sure that it's nicely lined up. So it's whatever method you use, it doesn't get all bunched up or messed up. We're almost done. Let's go sew all that. I'm gonna go from the front, but I'm going to very carefully be aware of my pins and pull them out as I go. All right, so now we can turn this right side out and trim any threads because we are done. We're just gonna add our cording to close this up. Give it a good fluffing out. Okay, and then we're gonna add our cording here to the top. And then we're going to stitch this down, the straps, stitch the straps down, and we'll be done. So I'm grabbing my cording and I'm just gonna fit it right through that gap here. You can use whatever tools you have. And actually, I'm going to tape this cording end first so that it doesn't unravel on me as I'm trying to insert. Oh, that was a horrible tape job, but it's okay. Okay, there's the cording for the straps here. And then we're gonna finish that off by either adding the a stopper or whatever it is that you wanna add, or just to tie, or however you wanna finish that off. I don't know if I don't know that I have a stopper, but if I do, I'll add a stopper. If not, then you can just tie a knot at the end of the cording and then tie it. It's up to you how you want to finish it up. Now, the last thing is to top stitch these straps. So I'm going to go over to my sewing machine and top stitch the straps and create like a little box. So go over, down, and then an X in the center, and we'll be done. Okay, make sure you're not getting any of your casing like stuck in there. So you want to pull it all the way up, and then go ahead and do your little stitching. And do that to all the straps. You can see it on the lining. It's like a little box with a little triangle, a little X in the center. All right, friends, we are done with this carrier. I think it turned out so super cute. I love the little tag right here, handmade with love. I love the little areas for the handles to go through, and then the handles to carry it around. Now remember, if your crock pot is full of something delicious, be careful when you're carrying it, because it's gonna be really heavy. You don't want the straps to rip and then something to happen. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but you just want to be careful with that. So then I love as well that it closes all the way. And if I want to open it, it's nice to open it here and be able to just flip it open just like that. And then I have like a little situation where I can just display my crock pot. So whatever's inside of there, if you don't need to reheat it and you just want to serve it from this cute little holder, I think it would be great. I think it looks amazing. Let me know what you think. I feel like it's gonna be really hard to let go of this one, but I'm just kidding. But I did not measure my mother-in-law's crock pot, so if it doesn't fit it, I may have to keep this one and make her another one, which would be fine because this was such an easy and quick pattern. I really do love it. I hope you enjoyed this sew along. Please comment, like, share, subscribe if you haven't, so you never miss any of our tutorials. Go grab your pattern, come back and sew it up with me, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.